Alrighty, everybody. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Atlanta News First Alert Desk. I'm Savannah Louie on this wonderful Wednesday evening, August 16th here, 8 o'clock. Happy to have you with us. We have your top 5 stories for this evening. And if you were following along with us earlier this evening in our TV broadcast, you may have noticed that we had a pretty big breaking story at the top of every hour here regarding a threat to a Jewish center in MIDTOWN Atlanta. I do have an update. Police have given the all clear on that threat. I want to show you here, though. This is where we received reports of a bomb threat earlier this afternoon. We're told that the calls came in around 3 o'clock earlier this afternoon about some sort of explosive over at the William Breman Jewish Heritage Museum and Jewish Federation. This is over on Spring Street. If you were in the area, you might be aware that police shut down several streets from 17th Street to 19th Street and along this building, the side of this building, which is on Spring Street in Midtown Atlanta. When police arrived on scene, they evacuated the building. About 70 people were inside. They did a full sweep of the building. They did not find any sort of explosive, no dangerous materials, no hazardous materials, and ultimately the location was given the all clear. Now, right now, there is an active investigation into where this threat came from, why this threat was made. A spokesperson for the Jewish Federation says, unfortunately, it's part of the reality of running a Jewish institution. And he also says that they are on high alert at all times. So as police continue to investigate this situation, of course, we at Atlanta News First will keep you updated as we learn more information. Just stay with us on air as well as online and the Atlanta News First app for all of those latest updates. All right, want to move straight along here to another big breaking story out of Atlanta, Fulton County. If you've been following along with not only the local headlines, but the national headlines over the past several days, this is pretty much the talk of the town right here. The indictment of former President Donald Trump and 18 others in connection to allegedly conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election here in Georgia. I want to go ahead and show you the faces and the names of those 19 people who were indicted. Now, the latest news that we're receiving today, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis has proposed a court date for Trump and the other defendants. That court date would be March 4th. I want you to keep in mind here, this is just a proposal. It is not set in stone. It still needs to be approved. But if DA Willis has it her way, it would be in early March. And I want to also point out here, that is just 8 days before the presidential primary here in Georgia. According to the filing, Willis wants those 19 defendants to have their first court appearance and their arraignment sometime during the week of September 5th. So that's another key date to put on your calendar. I want to also mention a final date this upcoming Friday, not this Friday as in 2 days, but the following Friday, I should say. That is the deadline for former President Trump and those other defendants to turn themselves into the Fulton County Jail. They must do that no later than noon. Again, that's next Friday. And just a brief update here, if you aren't completely caught up to speed, Trump and his allies are facing 41 counts, including racketeering and conspiracy over their alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election here in Georgia. This, again, is a developing story, and I know there is so much information to keep track of on this. It can be overwhelming at times, but here at Atlanta News First, we are making it easy on you. We have an entire page on Atlanta News First or the Atlanta News First app where you can read everything about this indictment, about what we expect to happen in the coming days and in coming weeks, about how we got up to this point, about who those main key players are, anything, any question that you might have surrounding this situation involving former President Trump, we have got the answer. So just check out our website. It is really an amazing resource, and there's plenty to read through if you're interested in learning more about this. All right. I want to move straight ahead here to a very disturbing story for families in Brookhaven surrounding a city official who has been accused of trying to solicit sex from a teenage girl. Incredibly disturbing. I'm going to go ahead and show you this man right here. This is the director of Brookhaven Parks and Rec, or should I say the former director of Brookhaven Parks and Recreation, Patrick Nolly. So here's what happened. Patrick thought he was meeting a teenage girl at a Marietta apartment complex. He eventually ended up actually meeting up with a police officer. So this was a sex solicitation sting, so to speak. We're told by officials that Nally was doing this during work hours. He was also using a city-owned vehicle to get over to that apartment complex where he thought he was meeting the teen. He now faces a variety of charges, including child enticement and obscene internet contact with a child. And he is looking at a $20,000 bond. If you can join us tonight on Atlanta News First at 11 o'clock, we have our anchor, Alan Devlin, who's going to be giving us a report, bringing us up to speed with the very latest developments on this extremely upsetting case. All right, guys, we're moving right along here. I thought this was a really interesting story. Okay, so in Atlanta, doesn't matter where you drive. We have not the best drivers here in the metro area. I will be the first to point that out. But there's a stretch of road along I-285 which has had a number of incidents repeatedly, time and time again. So Atlanta News First, we sent out our reporter, Rachel Aragon, to look into this area and to see what the problem is. And I'm going to go ahead and show you this area. This is by I-285 and Ashford-Dunwoody Road. So this is one example of one of the incidents, crashes, that's happening along this stretch of the interstate. Now, I don't know if you noticed earlier in one of these images, you could see some construction along the side of the road. There it is, those orange cones, those orange signs. Believe it or not, though, that construction, it's not responsible for the crashes. We're told by Dunwoody Police, reckless driving is the real cause here. And just to give you some numbers here, in just the past week, they have reported 3 separate crashes along this stretch. In two of the 3 crashes, by the way, speed and alcohol were factors. The third accident is still under investigation, so we don't have the exact cause or factors that went into that incident there. But now these officials are warning us, if you're driving along this stretch of the interstate, you need to be careful, be aware. It's caused them to close the interstate while they clean up this mess, and worse, I mean, people have injuries, they get hurt. And we don't want that. All right, guys, final little tidbit I have for you tonight. This is really exciting because I know we are in the South. We all love our football, and football is back, baby. High school football. Back starting tonight. This is the official start to football season here. Corky Cal Classic. It's going on right now. 11 games over the next 3 days. We already had one game earlier today. North Atlanta versus Johns Creek. That was at 4:30. And happening right now, kickoff just about 8 minutes ago. Parkview versus Cal. All right, if you want to watch these games, I have good news for you. You can. Just head over to Peachtree TV. That's where we're airing all of these games. You can also check out the ANF Plus app on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. You got a lot of options there. And I mean, what better way to spend the evening than watching a little football with the friends, with the family, or maybe even by yourself? That's how much we love football. We don't care who we're with. It's always a good time, right? All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me here. I have to show you the most beautiful man, Patrick Pete. I'm just kidding. Most beautiful picture here. We'll get to Patrick in a minute. Look how gorgeous this is, though. You can see the sun setting, and almost as beautiful as this picture is the forecast we have. I mean, You couldn't have asked for much better. We have meteorologist Patrick Pete on deck with us now. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Savannah. Yeah, you're talking about that sunset. It is gorgeous out there. Listen, I don't know what y'all are doing. Hopefully, you are streaming me on your phone, watching us on YouTube, or maybe you have our WANF app on your phone and you're, watching us through Roku or something. Being indoors right now with this gorgeousness outside, it's not something that I would be doing. I would be outside getting in some of this air, whether that's out running, on cycling, or maybe just hanging out in the back. Nice little patio area, nice little lights, vibes. Yeah, that would be a great use of this beautiful evening. Listen, we don't get low humidity, even though it's still a little muggy in some places. It's drier than it typically would be this time of year for August for Atlanta. So really, really gorgeous weather. Let's talk about how long it's going to stick around. And I do think that tomorrow's going to be another win. The morning numbers are going to be, for me, what I call comfortable, like low to mid 60s in some places. I think we'll be at about 67 for the start of the day here in Atlanta. And then by Friday, the afternoon temperatures are going to trend back to where they should be, upper 80s, low 90s. And that's going to be, we call that seasonably warm, seasonably hot. Yeah, definitely going to be hotter. And then looking at the weekend, that heat is only going to continue to build into the region. And then we're going to turn the humidity up as we turn the page to Sunday, which means that not only are we going to be dealing with warmer air, but it's also going to feel more humid. So those feel-like temperatures are going to soar as well. So these are the reasons why we keep telling you to enjoy the weather, because, yeah, it's not nice whenever our smiles and our straight faces, which is what we're seeing on this map right here, changes to the frown or the tasteless picture. Yeah, so we don't want that air back, and unfortunately we're going to get it back later in the 7-day forecast. Gorgeousness for your Thursday, upper 60s in the morning, quickly climbing into the low 80s around lunchtime, and then we'll sail off into the upper 80s for the second half of the afternoon. Some places at higher elevations only get to the mid 80s, so still pretty comfortable for the time of year. Meanwhile, tomorrow night, 50 Cent is heading the stage at Lakewood Amphitheater at around 7 o'clock, and we are going to see lots of sun and numbers in the low 80s, dipping into the upper 70s by 9 o'clock. So a very cozy, comfortable evening ahead. Friday, looking similar. Temperatures are going to be about a degree warmer for the start of the day, mid to upper 60s across most of our region. But the numbers are going to climb quicker. And by lunchtime, we're already in the mid 80s, which means those 90s are just around the corner. So most locations are going to top out somewhere near 90, if not low 90s. Further south you are, the better chance you'll have for getting into the 90s. But it's still going to be pretty comfortable out, so that 90 isn't going to be overwhelming. So Thursday, Friday, great into the work week. Go ahead and make your plans for a happy hour. Make your favorite reservations after work outside, because it is going to be gorgeous out there. Listen, we don't get to say that often in August, so this is why we're kind of dialing into this amazing forecast for the next couple of days, because the heat will come back, and those feel-like numbers are going to climb. Now, I still think Saturday is going to be okay, but you're going to notice it is going to get a little bit more muggy, so that muggy meter is going to increase a tad bit. But by Sunday, that's when you're really going to start to feel it. It's just going to be a little uncomfortable to be out there. I think 97 is what it's going to feel like here in Atlanta, but points to the south of us. I would not be surprised if a couple of neighborhoods get to that triple-digit mark. But all of us are going to get there by Monday afternoon, and we're going to hover in that territory as we push towards Tuesday. So unfortunately, summer is still here. It's still dominating. We just got a brief little shift back to where it should be for this time of year for a couple of days. Unfortunately, we're soaring back into the mid 90s as we head back to work Monday and Tuesday. Then we're looking at more cloud cover building in by Wednesday. Another system is going to gradually approach, and that's going to at least bring some slightly cooler air in. We think that we'll hit 93 for our high on Wednesday. So lots of changes there. And then also we are keeping an eye to the tropics. We are expecting an area of low pressure to develop in the northern Gulf of Mexico over the course of the next week. Still a low-end chance, but some of the guidance that we were looking at over the course of the last couple of hours, it's just making us keep our eye on, South Texas, South Louisiana, because we could see a tropical depression form. I do believe that some of that area, if I'm not mistaken, parts of Louisiana, even though they've seen a lot of showers and storms, they're a little bit behind where they should be as far as rain for the year. So they'll probably welcome that tropical depression as long as it stays a depression. Laura and Delta a couple of years ago really, have those folks on edge down there. And I know that because that's where my family is. So, but we'll watch that area. More impressively are two disturbances that are out towards the east. Both of them are just tropical waves at the moment, but both of them, at least in some of the models and some of the guidance, both of them have a pretty good solid chance of development over the course of the next week. So we're going to watch them both. Obviously, the one right now that looks the most aggressive is going to be the bigger circulation that you see just coming off the coast of Africa. But actually, the models have been holding on to this disturbance out ahead of it a little bit more. So 40, 50%, we call that medium opportunities for us to see some development over the course of the next week. You can trust your first alert weather team to stay on top of not only your local weather, but also the tropics, because we know what y'all are trying to do. These flights down to Jamaica are pretty affordable right now, and y'all are trying to take off, and so we're going to keep an eye on that so that we can help you make all of those plans so that you can get in some summer fun. I'm going to swap over to the sky view real quick because I want to take a look at YouTube just to see if any of you have any questions. Hey, what's going on? Andreas saying hello from Germany. Jimmy, lots going on, man. I see there are a lot of you joining us, so if you have any questions, comments about the forecast, I know this is kind of one of those easier weeks, and we're very happy for that. We're finally out of that afternoon thunderstorm every afternoon scenario, but we'll be watching for that to come back because it is still summer, and that flow could return. I see no questions there. Hello to everybody at home that's not on our YouTube stream. 7-day forecast. Go ahead and make your plans. Get outside the next couple days. Even though temperatures are going to be a little hot, this is pretty much what we call seasonably hot. This is where it should be. Nothing too crazy about it. The humidity, while it's going to be there because it is August, it's not going to be overwhelming. It's not going to be exasperating. It's not going to make you sweat as soon as you walk outside. Unfortunately, those conditions look to come back as we head towards Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So happy Wednesday, I think it is. Wind down Wednesday. My recommendation for tonight, listen, you can do whatever you want as far as wine because it feels so good outside. If you want to have a glass of Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, Gewürztraminer, Malbec, Tempranillo, you have at it. It feels great. See y'all. We're going to have an update on all of this stuff at 11 o'clock on Atlanta News First. We're not streaming on Peachtree TV tonight at 9 and 10 because there's a lot of good football for you to catch up on if you needed to in the meantime. So I will see you all tomorrow.